What if I told you that you could hold a piece of Roman history, not just of an emperor, but of a powerful empress? This is a coin minted nearly 2,000 years ago, honoring Faustina the Younger, Augusta. And on the back, something truly special. Her twin infant sons, Commodus and Aurelius Antoninus. This wasn't just money, it was a declaration, a symbol of dynastic hope, celebrating the future of Rome, embodied in these two little boys. Imagine the hands this coin passed through, each person seeing this powerful image of motherhood and imperial succession. It's a tiny bronze masterpiece that tells a huge story about power, legacy, and the destiny of an empire. What other secrets are hiding in plain sight on ancient coins? Join us as we uncover more. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more amazing stories from the past. Have you ever wondered how empires were built, not just with soldiers and swords, but with small, intricate pieces of metal? Today, we were diving into the fascinating story of one such object, a rare 1748 token that connects the glittering court of King Louis XV in France, a bustling port city, and the vast untamed wilderness of North America. This isn't just a coin, it's a key to understanding a forgotten chapter of history. The 18th century in North America was a high-stakes chess match between European giants like France, Britain, and Spain. They weren't just fighting for land, they were competing for the allegiance of the powerful indigenous nations who had called this continent home for millennia. In this tense environment, medals and tokens became the language of diplomacy, trust, and power. Let's set the scene. It's the reign of Louis XV. France's empire, known as New France, stretched from modern-day Canada all the way down the Mississippi River to Louisiana. Unlike the British colonies, which were bursting with agricultural settlements, the French presence was sparse. Their entire colonial enterprise depended on one thing, the fur trade. And the fur trade depended entirely on strong alliances with Native American peoples. The French quickly learned that to build relationships, you had to follow local customs. In native diplomatic culture, gift-giving wasn't just a nice gesture. It was a fundamental part of creating and maintaining respect, friendship, and political bonds. So the French gave gifts, firearms, textiles, and most importantly, symbolic items like medals. These weren't just shiny trinkets. They were embossed with the face of the king or royal crests, and they were presented to chiefs in grand ceremonies. For the French, it was a way to say, "You are an ally of the most powerful king in Europe." For the native leaders, receiving one was a public affirmation of their status and the strength of their alliance with the French. This brings us to our star artifact, the 1748 token. This particular piece was commissioned by Mathurin Bellabre, the mayor of Nantes. Now, Nantes wasn't just any city. In the 18th century, it was a powerhouse of Atlantic trade. Its docks were a frenzy of activity, with ships arriving from the colonies laden with sugar, furs, and other valuable goods. As mayor, Bellabre was at the center of this global network. By issuing a token dedicated to the Amerindians, he wasn't just performing an act of long-distance diplomacy, he was flexing the economic and political muscle of his city. It was a way for Nantes to declare its vital role in supporting the French crown Guess ambitions across the ocean. This little piece of metal was a testament to the city's global reach. The artist behind this masterpiece was none other than Pierre-Simon Benjamin Duvivier, part of a famous family of Parisian engravers. Though still young in 1748, he was already a master of his craft. His job was to blend artistry with powerful political messaging. Typically, these medals featured the bust of King Louis XV on one side. The other side was a canvas for diplomacy. It might show two hands clasped in friendship, a peace pipe, or an allegorical scene of France and a native figure meeting as equals. These were symbols designed to be understood across cultures, reinforcing a message of mutual respect and partnership. Struck in durable bronze or silver, They were meant to last for generations, becoming treasured heirlooms passed down through families as physical proof of their pacts with the French. The year 1748 is also incredibly significant. It marked the end of a major European conflict, the War of the Austrian Succession, which had spilled over into North America. The fighting between the French and British had been brutal, and both sides relied heavily on their native allies. When the Treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle was signed in 1748, it brought a fragile peace. Both empires knew this was just a pause. The next war was inevitable, and whoever had the strongest indigenous alliances would have a decisive advantage. So, this token wasn't just a commemorative item. It was a strategic move, a reaffirmation of friendship and a promise that France remained a loyal partner to the nations who had fought by its side. For the Native American leaders who received these medals, they held a profound meaning that went far beyond European intentions. They were woven into indigenous systems of diplomacy and memory. Chiefs would wear them proudly at councils as undeniable proof of their authority and their special relationship with a great foreign power. In a world where oral tradition held more weight than written treaties, the physical presence of the medal, given in a sacred ritual, was what made the alliance real and binding. What's truly amazing is how this small token connects so many different worlds. The sophisticated workshops of Paris, where it was designed, the commercial hub of Nantes that funded it, and the deep forests of North America, where it became a sacred object of diplomacy. It shows that France's empire was built on more than just military might. It was built on symbols, rituals, and a complex dance of cross-cultural communication. Even after the French Empire in North America collapsed following their defeat in 1763, these medals didn't lose their power. Many indigenous groups held on to their French medals, sometimes valuing them more than the new ones offered by the British. They served as a reminder of a time when their nations were seen as essential partners in shaping the destiny of a continent. Today, surviving examples of these tokens are priceless artifacts studied by historians and cherished by museums. They teach us that history isn't just found in dusty books and treaties. It is also etched into the surface of a small metal disc, a quiet but powerful witness to the promises, alliances, and intertwined destinies of peoples from across the world. So the next time you see an old coin or medal, take a closer look. It might just be telling a story much bigger than you could ever imagine. Thanks so much for joining me on this historical journey. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more hidden histories. See you in the next video. Today, we're journeying back in time to early 17th century Germany to explore a truly remarkable object, a golden medal from the city of Aachen. It's a piece that connects a legendary emperor, a magnificent cathedral, and a continent on the brink of chaos. Let's dive into the fascinating story of the Aachen Medal, sometimes controversially known as the Judenmedaille. Imagine holding this piece, struck sometime between 1600 and 1615. On one side, you see the majestic bust of Charlemagne, crowned and robed as Holy Roman Emperor. On the other, a detailed depiction of Aachen Cathedral, the monumental church he founded over 800 years earlier. This medal isn't just a coin, it's a work of art, a political statement, and a powerful symbol of a legacy that shaped Europe. To understand why it was made, we need to unravel the history of Aachen, the towering figure of Charlemagne, and the turbulent times in which this medal was forged. Let's start with the man himself, Charlemagne, or Charles the Great. Crowned emperor in Rome on Christmas Day in the year 800, he was the dominant figure of the early Middle Ages. His empire, later called the Holy Roman Empire, was vast, stretching across modern-day France, Germany, and Italy. And at the very heart of this sprawling realm, he chose a special place for his capital, Aachen. Located in the Rhineland, Aachen was known for its natural hot springs. But for Charlemagne, it was destined for much more. He transformed it into the symbolic center of his Christian empire, a second Rome. He built a grand palace complex and gathered the brightest scholars of his day, aiming to revive the glory of the Roman Empire under a new Christian banner. Aachen became the vibrant capital of the Carolingian world, a city that embodied Charlemagne's vision of unified power and faith. At the center of Charlemagne's vision stood his masterpiece, the Palatine Chapel, the core of what we now call Aachen Cathedral. Built between 793 and 813, its design was revolutionary for its time. Inspired by Byzantine churches, its architect, Odo of Metz, created a stunning octagonal structure with massive piers and a soaring dome. This wasn't just a place of worship, it was an imperial stage. It's where Charlemagne himself was buried in 814, and crucially, it became the coronation site for German kings for nearly 600 years, starting with Otto I in 936. The cathedral became the spiritual and political heart of the Holy Roman Empire. By the early 1600s, when our medal was created, the cathedral had stood for centuries. It was a powerful symbol of German identity and Catholic tradition, a beacon of stability even as the Protestant Reformation was tearing Europe apart. To engrave its image on a medal was to evoke Charlemagne's original dream of Christian unity and imperial authority in a deeply divided world. Now, let's look closer at the medal itself. The portrait of Charlemagne is incredibly dignified. He wears his crown, holds the orb and scepter, and gazes forward with a majestic air. This isn't just a historical portrait. It's how early modern Germans imagined their founding father, a timeless symbol of legitimate rule. On the reverse, we see the cathedral. By this time, it had Gothic additions, but the engraver made sure to emphasize the original octagonal chapel, the heart of Charlemagne's creation. The image connects the sacred and the political, presenting the cathedral as the enduring monument to his vision. So what about that controversial nickname, the Judenmedaille? The origin of this term is debated by historians. Some suggest these medals were later used in transactions involving Jewish communities in Aachen, perhaps related to taxes. Others believe the name is a later misattribution, possibly reflecting anti-Jewish sentiments prevalent in the region during that era. But it's important to note that, regardless of this contested label, the medal's primary purpose was clearly a celebration of Charlemagne, his city, and his enduring legacy. To fully grasp why this medal was created, we need to understand the historical context. The years between 1600 and 1615 were a tense period in Germany. It was the twilight of the Renaissance and the ominous dawn of the 30 Years' War, a devastating conflict that would soon engulf Central Europe. The Holy Roman Empire was deeply fractured along religious lines, Catholic versus Protestant. Aachen, as a free imperial city, was caught right in the middle of this turmoil. For a time, the city leaned towards Protestantism, which led to conflicts with the Catholic emperor. Imperial forces even intervened to restore Catholic dominance. In this charged atmosphere, the memory of Charlemagne became a powerful tool. By invoking him and his cathedral, the city's Catholic leadership could assert Aachen's ancient status as the city of coronations and the cradle of a unified Christian empire. The medal was a propaganda piece, a beautiful reminder that despite the current chaos, Aachen remained Charlemagne's city, a bastion of imperial and Catholic tradition. So, the medal carries multiple layers of meaning. It's a tribute to dynastic memory, honoring the founder of the empire. It's a symbol of religious authority, celebrating the sacred site of coronations. It's a political statement, asserting Aachen's historic identity in a time of division. And of course, it's a beautiful piece of Renaissance art, showcasing a fascination with portraiture and architecture. This small gold disc effectively bridges three distinct eras: Charlemagne's Carolingian age, the medieval period of royal coronations, and the early modern era of religious conflict where Charlemagne's memory was strategically revived. Today, surviving examples of this medal are prized by historians and collectors. They are windows into the mindset of early 17th century Germany, reminding us that history and memory are always being reshaped to serve the needs of the present. Aachen Cathedral, of course, still stands today. It was one of the very first sites to be declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1978 and continues to awe visitors with its golden mosaics and soaring architecture, a testament to 200 years of history. For Germans, it's a source of immense pride. For Europeans, it's a symbol of an ancient dream of unity. The medal from 1615 perfectly captured this enduring link between a great leader, his city, and his monumental creation. In conclusion, the Aachen medal is so much more than a numismatic curiosity. It's a golden thread connecting Charlemagne's imperial vision, the magnificent architecture of his cathedral, and the intense struggles of early modern Germany. On one side, the emperor, on the other, his church. Together, they sent a clear message in a time of crisis, calling people back to a shared history of faith and power. For us, it remains a powerful artifact of how we use the glories of the past to navigate the uncertainties of our own time. Thank you so much for joining me on this historical journey. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you won't miss our next exploration into the fascinating world of history. See you next time. Imagine holding 2,500 years of history in the palm of your hand. This isn't just any piece of silver, it's a rare stater from the ancient Greek city of Poseidonia, a window into a world where gods and mortals intertwined. Struck between 480 and 400 BC, this coin is a masterpiece of ancient art and a powerful symbol of a city's identity. On its face, we see the mighty Poseidon, god of the sea, brandishing his iconic trident. This isn't just a portrait, it's a declaration of power, faith, and ambition. Today, we're diving deep into the story of this incredible artifact to uncover the secrets of Poseidonia, the power of its patron god, and the legacy of Magna Graecia. To truly understand this coin, we must first travel back in time to southern Italy, to a region the Greeks called Magna Graecia, or Great Greece. Around 600 BC, Greek settlers from the powerful colony of Sybaris founded a new city on the coast, Poseidonia. The location was perfect, a fertile plain with access to the sea, a strategic hub for trade and culture. Poseidonia wasn't just an outpost, it was a beacon of Greek civilization in Italy. The city flourished, becoming famous for its monumental Doric temples, which stand to this day as some of the best-preserved Greek temples in the world. The Grand Temple of Hera and the so-called Temple of Neptune are testaments to the city's wealth and deep religious devotion. In this vibrant environment, coinage was more than just money. These silver staters were statements of identity, advertisements of authority, and expressions of divine favor. Now let's look closer at the coin's obverse, the side that carries its most powerful message. Here we see Poseidon, not as a distant, serene deity, but in full, dynamic motion. His muscular form is taut with energy, one arm raised high, ready to strike with his trident. This is the lord of the seas, earthquakes and horses, captured in a moment of absolute command. For a coastal city like Poseidonia, whose entire existence depended on maritime trade, fishing and naval strength, Poseidon was the ultimate patron. Safe passage across the Mediterranean was a matter of life and death, and his favor was constantly sought. In mythology, Poseidon was a god of dualities. He could grant calm seas for prosperous voyages or unleash terrifying storms in his fury. By placing this formidable god on their currency, the people of Poseidonia were making a bold statement. They were acknowledging their dependence on his power while simultaneously claiming an alliance with it. The brandished trident was a symbol of dominance, a message to all who saw it: we are Poseidonia, protected by the master of the sea. Flipping the coin over, we often find something unique to the coinage of southern Italy, an incuse design. This means the reverse is a sunken, mirrored impression of the obverse. This technique was a hallmark of the Achaean colonies, linking Poseidonia directly to the traditions of its mother city, Sybaris. More than just a simple reverse, this incuse impression gave the coin a remarkable sense of depth and artistry, turning it from a mere tool of commerce into a small, portable sculpture. It was a tangible mark of sophisticated craftsmanship. Later coins from Poseidonia would sometimes add other symbols or inscriptions, but this early feature highlights its connection to a wider network of Greek colonies, each with its own distinct but related identity. The period when this coin was minted, from 480 to 400 BC, was a time of immense upheaval and transformation. In mainland Greece, this was the era of the Persian Wars and the Golden Age of Athens. Meanwhile, in Magna Graecia, the Greek colonies were constantly navigating complex relationships with rival cities and local Italic tribes. Poseidonia's coin, with its confident depiction of Poseidon, reflects a city at the peak of its power, proud of its divine protector and eager to project its strength. But this golden age was not to last forever. Around 400 BC, the city was conquered by the Lucanians, an Italic people. While Greek culture endured, Poseidonia's political independence was lost. Centuries later, in 273 BC, it would become a Roman colony, renamed Paestum. This silver stater, therefore, captures a specific, triumphant moment in time, the high point of Poseidonia as a proud, independent Greek city-state. For the Greek colonists who braved the seas to build new homes, Poseidon was more than just a sea god. He was a guarantor of new beginnings. The act of colonization was fraught with peril, dangerous voyages, unknown lands, and the immense challenge of building a new society from scratch. By dedicating their city to Poseidon, they were seeking his blessing for their entire endeavor. In Poseidonia, this connection was especially deep. The city's prosperity was built on its relationship with the sea, and having Poseidon on its coinage was a constant reminder of this bond. It told every citizen and every foreign trader that the city's fortunes were anchored by divine power. Furthermore, Poseidon's combative nature, so vividly depicted in myths like the Iliad and the Odyssey, would have resonated with a city needing to project military might in a competitive and often hostile region. He was both their provider and their celestial warrior. So just how special is this coin? It's considered exceptionally rare. The small number of surviving examples makes each one a treasure for collectors and historians. This rarity might mean it had a limited minting, perhaps for a specific diplomatic or ceremonial purpose, rather than everyday trade. In the ancient world, coins were a primary form of propaganda. A striking image of Poseidon was the perfect way to impress allies and intimidate rivals. Beyond its rarity, the artistic quality is simply breathtaking. Ancient die engravers were master craftsmen, able to create images of incredible life and energy on a canvas barely an inch wide. The figure of Poseidon is not static or stiff, it's bursting with dynamism. This artistic excellence places the coin among the most impressive numismatic issues from all of Magna Graecia, a testament to the skill and vision of its creators. Although Poseidonia would eventually be absorbed by other cultures, its coinage remains one of the most eloquent voices from its Greek past. The statas featuring Poseidon tell a story of a city defined by its maritime identity and unwavering devotion to its patron god. Under Roman rule, the city, now called Paestum, continued to thrive, but its character changed. These coins, however, preserve the essence of its Greek soul. Today, when you visit the magnificent ruins of Paestum, you can see the grandeur of the city's architecture, but when you look at one of its rare silver coins, you see its heart. The temples show us what they built, the coins show us what they believed. Together, they paint a vivid portrait of a Greek colony at its absolute zenith. It's easy to overlook coins as simple tools of finance, but they are so much more. They are tiny time capsules, carrying messages across centuries. Unlike grand monuments that stay in one place, coins traveled. A stater from Poseidonia could have passed through markets, ports, and foreign lands, acting as a cultural ambassador. For historians, this single coin reveals a wealth of information. The city's deep religious faith in Poseidon as its protector, its political pride and assertion of independence, and the incredible artistic achievements of its engravers. It was a business card, a political statement, and a work of art all in one. It told the world, "We are Poseidonia. We are favored by the god of the sea, and we are a force to be reckoned with." In conclusion, this silver stater from Poseidonia is far more than just a piece of ancient money. It's a key that unlocks the world of a Greek colony in its prime. The powerful image of Poseidon with his trident embodies the city's reliance on the sea, its aspirations for greatness, and the ever-present, unpredictable power that shaped its destiny. Struck during a period of independence and prosperity, this coin is a lasting proclamation of the city's identity. Though the city itself would change hands and names, this beautiful and historically rich artifact endures, a timeless reminder of how an ancient city defined itself through its gods, its art, and the stories it stamped in silver. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey back in time. If you found this story as fascinating as I do, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the hidden histories behind incredible artifacts. Let me know in the comments what other ancient objects you'd like to explore. See you next time. History isn't just in museums. It's often buried right under our feet. Most of us walk over centuries of forgotten stories every single day. But sometimes, a lucky break brings the past rushing back into the present. That's exactly what happened to one construction worker who, on a totally normal workday, stumbled upon a secret stash of coins that had been hidden for nearly 700 years. This incredible accidental discovery reminds us just how fragile history is. It also makes you wonder who buried these coins, why were they hidden so carefully, and what secrets do they hold about life in the medieval world? Let's picture the scene. It's an ordinary construction site. The air is filled with the noise of machinery, the scrape of shovels against dirt. Workers are digging foundations for a new building, a rhythm they've followed 1,000 times. But then, something breaks that rhythm, a glint of metal in the freshly turned earth. At first, the worker probably thought it was just junk, a rusty nail, a lost bolt, but he picked it up anyway. As he brushed off the dirt, he saw it was a coin, old and worn. Curiosity piqued. He looked closer at the hole and saw another, then another. Soon it was clear this wasn't just a lost coin. It was a hoard, hundreds of them, buried together centuries ago and forgotten by time. Archaeologists were called in, and they confirmed the find was extraordinary. The coins were roughly 700 years old, placing them in the late Middle Ages, around the 14th century. This was an era of huge change in Europe. Powerful kings were rising, trade was expanding, and magnificent cathedrals were being built. But it was also a time of plague and constant war. The coins themselves are like tiny time capsules. Back then, most were small silver pennies, stamped with the mark of a local lord or king. Controlling the money was a big deal. It was about power as much as it was about the economy. The fact that so many were found together points to one thing: someone deliberately hid their life savings. They gathered every coin they had, maybe from years of hard work or a family inheritance, and buried it, fully intending to come back for it. But for reasons we'll never know, they never did. So why would someone bury their money in the ground? Well, in the Middle Ages, it was surprisingly common. There were no modern banks, and trusting anyone with your wealth was risky. For most people, the safest place for their savings was a secret hole in the earth. There were plenty of good reasons. Fear of theft was a major one, with bandits and raids being a constant threat. Burying your coins was the best defense against robbery. War was another huge factor. When armies were on the march, people would hide their valuables and pray they could retrieve them once the danger passed. Some hoards are even thought to be from the time of the Black Death. People might have buried their money in a panic, hoping to survive the plague, but tragically many never did. Their loss is our gain, a window into their lives. This particular hoard dates back to the 14th century, a truly tumultuous time. On one hand, towns were growing and trade was booming. Coins were the lifeblood of this new economy. On the other hand, it was an age of crisis. The 100 Years' War between England and France raged, and the Black Death wiped out a huge portion of Europe's population. For an ordinary person, a farmer, a craftsman, a laborer, a small stash of silver coins could represent years of work, their only security in a deeply uncertain world. These coins are the silent testimony of someone just trying to survive. When the construction worker reported his find, archaeologists got to work immediately. For them, a hoard like this is a treasure trove of information. Coins aren't just money, they're historical documents. They tell us which rulers were in power, how pure the silver was, and even how far they traveled. By studying the wear and tear on each coin, experts can understand how money circulated in daily life. Were they local coins, or did they come from distant lands through trade? Every detail adds a new piece to the puzzle of medieval society, filling in gaps that written records often miss. But beyond the science, there's a powerful human story here. Just try to imagine the person who buried these coins 700 years ago. Was it a farmer trying to protect his family's future? A merchant hiding the profits from a dangerous journey? Or maybe a widow trying to keep her inheritance safe? The act of burying those coins was an act of hope, a bet on the future. They trusted they would return. That they didn't is a small tragedy, but their forgotten treasure has endured, a silent story waiting to be told. In a way, the construction worker didn't just find a pile of old metal. He unearthed the final chapter of a lifelong past, sparking our imagination with questions that will forever linger. Today, finding treasure isn't as simple as finders keepers. Most countries have laws to protect historical artifacts. When a hoard like this is discovered, it usually belongs to the state, ensuring it can be properly studied and preserved for everyone. The coins are carefully cleaned and analyzed, then often end up in a museum. There, they act as ambassadors from the past, connecting us directly to the medieval world in a way no textbook ever could. For the construction worker, it must have been an unforgettable moment, a chance to physically touch history, to hold the same objects someone held 7 centuries ago. Stories of hidden treasure have always captivated us, from pirate gold to lost Roman fortunes. And when a real hoard is found, it reminds us that some of those legends are true. It sparks a sense of wonder, the idea that incredible history could be lying just beneath the surface of our everyday lives. This discovery wasn't just exciting because the coins are rare. It's exciting because it proves that history is everywhere, waiting to be found when you least expect it. So, what can we learn from this incredible find? First, that history is fragile. These coins survived purely by chance. Second, that the stories of ordinary people matter. This wasn't a king's treasure. It belonged to someone just like us, and their story is just as important. It also shows us that our basic human concerns, the desire for security, the fear of loss, are timeless. And finally, it reminds us that some of the greatest discoveries happen by complete accident. The tale of the construction worker and the 700-year-old coins is a beautiful reminder that the past is all around us. The hoard is like a voice from the Middle Ages speaking to us through silver. It tells a story of fear and hope, of survival in a dangerous world, and of how one person tried to protect what they valued most. Hidden for 7 centuries, these coins have returned to the light, not as money to be spent, but as knowledge to be shared, connecting our present to the deep, enduring story of our past. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more journeys into history. See you next time. Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel where we uncover stories lost to time. History isn't just found in dusty books. Sometimes it lies buried right beneath our feet, waiting in silence for the right moment to reveal itself. All over the world, passionate volunteers dedicate their time to digging up the past, and while they often find small fragments every now and then, they strike historical gold. That's exactly what happened when a group of volunteers decided to explore a mysterious tunnel system carved out of the earth nearly 2,000 years ago. What started as a routine exploration of these dark, ancient passageways turned into the discovery of a lifetime. Deep inside, hidden from sight, they found something no one expected, a hoard of ancient coins, perfectly preserved and gleaming with the memory of a forgotten age. So what exactly was this tunnel system? Carved by hand 2 millennia ago, these underground networks were architectural marvels of their time. Archaeologists believe they served many purposes. They could have been defensive hideouts during invasions, secret escape routes for communities under threat, or even underground storage areas for food and supplies during times of war. In some parts of the world, tunnels like these were linked to the Roman Empire, which was famous for its elaborate underground construction. In other areas, local communities used them to hide from enemies or perform sacred rituals away from prying eyes. For the volunteers exploring this particular site, the experience was surreal. Imagine walking through narrow, damp passages with the silence of the stone pressing in on you. Every corner held the promise of discovery, a thrilling and slightly intimidating journey into a world shaped by hands from 2,000 years ago. The team was carefully documenting everything, measuring walls, photographing carvings, and mapping the layout. It was meticulous, patient work. Then one volunteer noticed something odd. Tucked away in a small recess, almost completely hidden by dirt and fallen rubble, was a faint glimmer of metal. Intrigued, they began to carefully brush away the soil. At first, all they saw were a few muddy, rounded shapes, but as they cleared more dirt, the truth became breathtakingly clear. These were coins, packed tightly together, as if they had been deliberately hidden. The discovery just kept growing. A few coins turned into dozens, and dozens turned into hundreds. They had stumbled upon a genuine ancient hoard, sealed away in the darkness and untouched by time. Archaeologists were immediately called to the scene. Their initial assessment was incredible. The hoard had likely been buried around 2,000 years ago, aligning perfectly with the age of the tunnels themselves. Now, coin hoards from antiquity can vary in size, but this one was special. It wasn't just local currency. It contained coins from distant regions, hinting at vast trade networks and the movement of people. Some coins bore the faces of long-forgotten emperors, while others had inscriptions in Latin or Greek, or symbols of gods and animals. Amazingly, the coins were in remarkable condition. The stable, protected environment of the tunnel had preserved them beautifully. Many still had legible inscriptions and clear portraits. For historians and numismatists, the experts who study coins, this wasn't just treasure, it was a library of information, a direct window into the past. This, of course, raises the ultimate mystery. Why were these coins hidden so deep inside a tunnel? There are a few compelling theories. The most common one is for protection. During times of war or invasion, people often buried their valuables in secret places to keep them safe from looters. A hidden tunnel would have been the perfect spot. Another possibility is that it was an emergency fund for a family or a community, wealth set aside to be used if disaster struck, or perhaps it had a more spiritual purpose. Some ancient hoards were deposited as offerings to gods or spirits. Hiding them in a dark subterranean place could have had deep symbolic meaning. But there's also a more tragic possibility. The owner might have intended to come back for their savings, but never could. They may have been a casualty of war, forced into exile, or met an unfortunate end. Their hidden wealth remained a forgotten secret, waiting centuries for modern-day volunteers to bring their story back to light. Whatever the reason, these coins are a poignant reminder of real human hopes and fears. Let's step back 2,000 years. The world was a place of immense change. The Roman Empire was expanding, spreading its currency, laws, and culture across vast territories. Coins weren't just money, they were a form of propaganda, stamped with the faces of powerful rulers to project authority and stability. So, a hoard like this is more than just currency. It's a political and social snapshot. It can reveal the reach of Roman influence, the existence of local trade, and how ordinary people navigated the economic realities of their time. For archaeologists, a sealed hoard like this is invaluable. Because it was found undisturbed in its original hiding place, it provides a closed context, a perfect snapshot of a single moment in time. From it, researchers can learn about economic history, pinpoint the exact timeline of events based on the rulers on the coins, and understand the cultural connections between different regions. Each coin isn't just a piece of metal, it's a historical document carrying a message from a world 2 millennia in the past. Beyond all the data and analysis, it's the human story that resonates most deeply. Try to picture it. An ancient individual, maybe a merchant, a soldier, or a farmer, descending into the dark, carrying their life savings in a pouch or a clay pot. With anxious hands, they find the perfect recess in the stone, tuck away their treasure, and cover it with earth, hoping it will be safe. In that moment, they probably felt a wave of relief. They might have planned to return the next day, or maybe years later, but fate had other plans, and their secret remained locked in the darkness. Now, their story is finally being told, not in words, but in the silver and bronze they left behind, rediscovered by strangers from a future they could never have imagined. After the incredible discovery, the coins were carefully taken to a conservation lab. There, specialists began the delicate process of cleaning them, removing centuries of dirt while preserving the aged surface, known as the patina. Each coin was photographed, catalogued, and analyzed. Soon, this amazing hoard will likely be displayed in a museum, where we can all marvel at its survival and learn about the world it came from. This entire story highlights some wonderful truths. It shows us that the past is always with us, just waiting to be rediscovered. It proves that history wasn't just shaped by kings and queens, but by ordinary people whose fears and hopes still echo today. And it celebrates the vital role of passionate volunteers, whose curiosity and dedication can literally rewrite our understanding of history. The tale of the tunnel hoard is more than just a treasure hunt. It is a powerful reminder of the unbreakable connection between our world and the world of those who came before us. These coins, once hidden in fear or faith, now shine once again, not as money but as knowledge. They teach us that history is never truly gone. It just waits patiently, sealed in darkness, for us to find it. Thank you so much for joining us on this incredible journey into the past. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss our next exploration. We'll see you in the next video. Hello and welcome Today, we're embarking on a journey into the fascinating world of numismatics, where a single coin can tell a story richer than the gold it's made from. We're going to uncover the secrets of a truly remarkable piece, the 1738 gold ducat from the city of Augsburg. This isn't just money. It's a miniature masterpiece, a time capsule from the Baroque era, and a powerful statement of civic pride. So, get comfortable as we decode the symbols and stories minted into this incredible coin. Before we examine the coin itself, let's set the scene in Augsburg. Founded as a Roman colony way back in 15 BC, Augsburg's destiny was shaped by its strategic location at the confluence of two rivers, the Lech and the Wörthach. This prime spot gave it access to water, trade routes, and fertile land, allowing it to blossom. By the Renaissance, Augsburg was a powerhouse of the Holy Roman Empire. As a free imperial city, it answered only to the emperor, giving it incredible autonomy. It was home to legendary banking dynasties like the Fuggers, who financed kings and popes, and it became a hub for artists and scholars. But by the early 18th century, things were changing. Wars and shifting trade routes had diminished its influence, yet Augsburg's spirit remained unbroken, and the minting of this 1738 ducat was a bold declaration of its enduring identity. So, what exactly is a ducat? Originating in Venice in the 13th century, ducats became the gold standard of Europe. With a consistent weight of about 3.5 grams of high-purity gold, they were trusted across borders for major transactions. For a city like Augsburg, minting its own ducats was a way to flex its economic muscles and assert its prestige. These weren't coins for buying bread. They were for sealing big deals, giving as prestigious gifts, or storing wealth. Every great coin has a great mind behind it. For our 1738 ducat, that was Johann Christian Holyson, the mint master of Augsburg. A mint master wasn't just a manager, he was the guarantor of quality, ensuring every coin met strict standards for weight, purity, and design. Holyson collaborated with engravers to create coins that were not just currency, but art. This ducat, with its elegant Baroque style, is a testament to his dedication and skill. It's a piece that screams quality and tradition. Now let's get to the heart of it, the stunning design. The most captivating feature is the city's coat of arms, a stylized pine cone nestled between two classical river deities. On one side, we have the male figure of the Lech, and on the other, the female figure of the Wörthach. The pine cone, or Zirbelnus in German, is the symbol of Augsburg. Its exact origin is debated. It might come from a Roman military standard or the region's pine forests. Whatever its roots, it became the city's emblem, appearing everywhere. On this ducat, the pine cone represents Augsburg's resilience and growth. Just like a seed, the city had grown from its Roman origins into a major European power. Placing it front and center was a declaration of Augsburg's pride and enduring presence. Flanking the pine cone is the powerful male river god, Lech. Pictured in a classical style, he personifies the mighty river that flowed down from the Alps, powering Augsburg's mills, watering its fields, and enabling its trade. By depicting the river as a god, the city wasn't just acknowledging its reliance on nature. It was elevating the river to the status of a divine benefactor, a source of its strength and prosperity. And on the other side, we have the graceful female river goddess, Wörthach. Though smaller than the Lech, the Wörthach was just as vital to the city's life. Depicting her as a goddess reflects classical traditions that associate female figures with fertility and nurturing. Together, the god Lech and goddess Wörthach create a perfect image of balance and harmony, a union of natural forces that sustained and nourished the city of Augsburg. This entire design is a beautiful allegory. At its core is Augsburg, the pine cone, embraced by the twin rivers that gave it life. The message is clear. Augsburg is eternal, rooted in both nature and history. This style of personifying natural elements was very popular in Baroque art, but on a civic coin, it carried a special weight. It was a tangible symbol for the citizens, a reminder of their shared identity, their prosperity, and their unique place in the world. Let's zoom out to the year 1738. Europe was in a period of relative calm, sandwiched between major wars. While Augsburg was no longer the economic giant of its golden age, it was still a respected cultural and economic hub. At a time when powerful monarchies like Austria and Prussia were on the rise, free imperial cities were fighting to maintain their influence. This ducat was Augsburg's way of saying, "We're still here, we are proud, independent, and our traditions run deep." The artistic quality of this coin is simply breathtaking. The engraver managed to pack incredible detail and dynamism onto a tiny canvas less than an inch across. The flowing hair of the river gods, the texture of the drapery, the intricate details. It's a masterclass in Baroque engraving. This level of artistry meant the ducat was often seen as a collectible, something to be preserved in a cabinet rather than spent. That's why so many survive in pristine condition today. So, what is the legacy of this small gold coin? For collectors, the 1738 Augsburg ducat is a prized possession due to its rarity, beauty, and gold content. But for historians, it's so much more. It's a piece of Augsburg's soul, a golden fragment of its history. By studying coins like this, we learn about the economics, values, and identity of the people who made them. The pine cone and the river gods tell a story of a community that understood its deep connection to nature and heritage. In conclusion, the 1738 Augsburg ducat is far more than just a piece of precious metal. It's a microcosm of a city's identity, a stunning blend of classical allegory and Baroque art. It tells the story of Augsburg, a city built by rivers, shaped by history, and defined by the resilience of its people. Nearly 3 centuries later, this coin continues to speak to us, a gleaming testament to a proud and enduring spirit. Thank you so much for joining me on this numismatic adventure. I hope you found the story of the Augsburg ducat as fascinating as I do. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into history's hidden treasures. See you next time. Have you ever held history in your hand? Not just a piece of the past, but a story, a hope, a prophecy, all stamped into a small circle of metal. Today we're diving deep into one such object, a Roman coin that tells a powerful tale of motherhood, dynasty, and the future of an empire. This isn't just any old coin. Minted in Rome in the year 161 CE, this bronze piece reveals a side of the Roman Empire we don't often see. While emperors filled their coins with images of military conquest and power, the coins of empresses told a different story, one of family, fertility, and the promise of a stable future. Let's meet the star of our show, Faustina the Younger, daughter of one emperor, wife to another, and mother to a third. Born into the highest echelons of Roman society, Faustina was destined for greatness. In 145 CE, she married the future philosopher-emperor Marcus Aurelius. When he took the throne in 161 CE, she was granted the title of Augusta, making her one of the most influential women in the world. Unlike many empresses before her, Faustina was a public figure. She was celebrated for her loyalty and, most importantly, her fertility. She bore at least 13 children, a staggering number that was seen as a blessing for the empire. She even traveled with Marcus Aurelius on his military campaigns, a rare and significant act for a Roman empress, showing her dedication not just to her husband, but to the state itself. Now let's look closer at the coin. On the front, the obverse, we see a beautiful portrait of Faustina. Her hair is styled in the elegant fashion of the time, a symbol of her status and matronly virtue. The drapery of her clothes reinforces her role as Augusta, a title that commanded respect and embodied traditional Roman values. Her portrait wasn't just a likeness, it was a carefully constructed image of ideal Roman womanhood, proclaiming her as a central pillar of the imperial order. But it's the back of the coin, the reverse, where the real story unfolds. This side is incredibly special. It shows a pulvinar, a sacred draped couch used in religious ceremonies to honor the gods. But resting on this divine couch aren't statues of deities. Instead, we see two tiny infants, Faustina's newborn twin sons, Commodus and T. Aurelius Fulvus Antoninus. The symbolism here is breathtaking. By placing the imperial heirs on a sacred couch, the coin elevates them to a near-divine status. It's a powerful piece of propaganda, essentially telling the Roman people that these children are a gift from the gods, and that the future of the dynasty is secured by divine will. The birth of twins was considered a very good omen, so you can imagine the excitement and hope that spread across the empire. This coin was the mass media of its day, a way for Marcus Aurelius to announce to millions that the succession was safe. But history, as it so often does, had a tragic twist in store. The coin captures a perfect moment of optimism, but it couldn't predict the future. One of the twins, T. Aurelius Fulvus Antoninus, died just a few years later, in 165 CE. The other twin, Commodus, would survive to become emperor, and this is where the story takes a dark turn. While his father, Marcus Aurelius, is remembered as one of the great philosopher-emperors, Commodus became infamous. His reign was marked by self-indulgence, cruelty, and instability, and many historians believe it was the beginning of Rome's long decline. The golden promise symbolized by the two infants on the sacred couch would ultimately lead to an era of chaos. This incredible contrast between hope and reality is what makes this coin so poignant. It represents a fleeting moment when everything seemed possible, when the future of Rome looked bright and divinely protected. It's a snapshot of a dream before the dream soured. So, what happened to Faustina? She died in 175 CE while on campaign with her husband. In recognition of her importance to the dynasty and the empire, she was deified, officially becoming a goddess. Her legacy lives on through coins like this one, which immortalize her as the ideal Roman empress, a devoted wife, a symbol of virtue, and, most critically, the mother who secured the dynasty. This small bronze coin is so much more than just ancient currency. It's a window into the values, fears, and hopes of the Roman world. It tells a human story of a mother's pride, an emperor's ambition, and the unpredictable nature of history itself. It reminds us that even the grandest empires are built on the fragile foundation of human lives. 2,000 years later, this coin still speaks, telling its story of an empress, her twins, and a future that was hoped for, but never came to be. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey back to ancient Rome. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the fascinating world of the past. See you next time.